Now we are recording. Okay, great, awesome. Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Hashtag live if you're watching live. Hashtag replay if you're on replay. This is the Buff and Shuck show where we talk about lots of random shit because we are here for your amusement and for your entertainment and for your information because that's what we do. So he is the Colonel Shuckles, and where are you?
I am in Spartanburg, South Carolina currently.
Nice. See, I went all the way out west. Now you're going all the way out east.
Yep, most
We're
certainly.
Traveling fools.
Yes, I drove from Louisville to Spartanburg this week.
How far of a drive is that?
It's really far because I drove from Louisville to Ashland on like Sunday, and then I drove from Ashland to Pikeville to meet my mom when I left that to go on, I guess Wednesday, when we left Wednesday night, and then I drove all the way from Pikeville to here. It's actually only 4 hours from Pikeville, Kentucky, which is a pretty big surprise. I didn't know that Asheville itself was only 3 hours from Pikeville. That's a pretty close drive. Have you ever been to Asheville?
I've been to Asheville.
I want to go to that place bad. It kind of seems like that's like right up my alley.
That's there's a lot of Asheville's interesting. It kind of has this like weird, like hippie kind of like vibe to it, but it's like there's a lot of energy things that happen there. Like there's a lot of strange occurrences.
Yeah, I can definitely tell it's a little bit of a hipster town for sure.
Oh yeah, and
there's a lot of big brewing companies there. I can't believe just because cities like Asheville that North Carolina hasn't like legalized weed yet, because I feel like that would be a place that would be like the East Coast Denver. You know what I mean? Just because of how many people go there to travel and stuff, and pretty easy market.
I don't understand why we just don't legalize marijuana, period.
Dude, we were literally invited to be the 15th state of America because of our production of cannabis and tobacco and bourbon. And then we don't have bourbon, or we don't have tobacco or cannabis anymore. So I'm not saying those are good. I'm not saying tobacco is a good thing, but it provides a lot of jobs to the area. So it's like, if you want to smoke tobacco, that's your choice. I don't want you to do that. But it's also kind of like what we were talking about before this, like, you can do you and I'm going to do me. And it doesn't really matter. But that does hurt our state a lot. Like, it takes jobs from our state. And that's a thing that keeps happening to us for some reason. It's so weird, man. Kentucky just keeps losing jobs. We keep losing them. It's like coal's gone, tobacco's gone. Cannabis is gone.
We have terrible leadership in this state.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of the most corrupt, historically, it's one of the most corrupt governments in all of America, behind like Texas or something like that.
But I love Texas.
But it's privatized. That's why it's so corrupt. It's a little bit easier to have corruption in a privatized industry state because they don't do the roads. But they're the people that are like, hey, but we can get you the job for the road. And then you can put that money in my pocket. And I'm like, who gives a shit? As long as they do a really good job, I don't care if they do that.
I mean, when I was in Washington State, right? So marijuana is legal there. And I mean, it's like the amount of jobs and the amount of industry. And I think the thing that I think people miss out is they're still under this impression that marijuana is a gateway drug, which research states that it's not. So I think we can all put that to bed. But like the opioid crisis that happens in the state of Kentucky and really the United States of America, period, the amount of people that you could help get off of that by using marijuana, which is grown from the ground. And I understand the poppy thing is grown from the ground too. I get that. Okay. But just in its state, marijuana.
Dude, but in a natural state, even poppy, you could say has medicinal benefits if you just don't overuse it. Like, so it's like, in my opinion, man, you could argue that every drug should be not legal, but it should be decriminalized. A person that is addicted to drugs is not a criminal. Like, that is crazy that we treat them like that. That is literally a mental illness, and we're attacking people and putting them in jail and being like, why the fuck aren't you okay? And it's like, because I had an issue probably when I was growing up. My mom and dad didn't love me or something like that. So my dopamine receptors didn't properly function or weren't just didn't develop. And literally that is the number one cause of addiction, is literally lack of development of your dopamine receptors. And so it can be argued that most people substances themselves are not actually addictive, but the brain is easily manipulated to be follow under addiction to anything. If the likelihood of someone who's an addict is probably going to be easily addicted to anything. So they can be addicted to porn, or they can be addicted to Facebook, or they can be addicted to shopping. And the thing is we all really had some sort of vice. Like it's just, I mean, you'll agree and I'll agree. Like mine's probably running, or probably like just sometimes I'm like, damn, I need to just take a break. But like it's a vice.
I think you touched on something that's super important. I was having this conversation with I can't remember who it was, but we were talking about prison reform, and there's more people in prison in the United States of America than there is total in the entire world,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people are in prison for drug related offenses.
Petty drug crimes.
That's like in California, for instance, like marijuana. Why on earth would you send someone to prison for marijuana? Now, this doesn't
Propaganda.
it doesn't excuse, when you have, like a car accident when you're driving under the influence or something like that. Okay, I get those things, but like
Why?
huh?
Why are people allowed to drink themselves to death? Why is that legal, but it's not legal to smoke a joint?
Because the government, after prohibition, is making money off of it. So when the government can make money off of it, it's okay. No different than pharmaceutical drugs, people. I mean, they're intertwined with each other, and you can call me whatever you want to. I don't care. Um, I'm not saying that pharmaceutical drugs shouldn't exist. Obviously, they exist for some reason
Mhm.
or reasons. But then that leads into a whole nother thing is about our healthcare system. It's not really a healthcare system. It's a sick care. It's a sick care. It's a sick care system. You know, um, we're we're so out of whack. And then now we got UFOs in the sky.
Yeah, yeah, yep. The Pentagon has officially confirmed that a naval video was actually indeed a UFO, an unidentified flying object. Could be of this world, but they do not believe that it is. They said the way that it moves, um, it moves so fast that their radar system couldn't track it. That's how fast it moved. It
So
literally it went from, they said, like I think 5,000 feet in the air to under the water in like literally like that.
no kidding.
Yeah. So there, some people even think like that stuff could be, there could be aliens under the water for all we know. Like, and I'm like, God, here we go.
Well,
People were worried about the Kardashians, and we got this shit to worry about.
here's a great point. Okay, you just said it. We know less about the ocean and underneath what we can see, right? We know less about that than we do about the solar system and the planets. We've done more investigating of Mars than we have our own ocean. I mean, you have the lost city of Atlantis. Where did that go? Bermuda Triangle. Explain that stuff. You can't, right? No, or at least they're not allowing us to know what that is, right? So, I mean, it's very possible for these aliens, right, that to be, they just house themselves down in where you can't even detect them.
Yeah.
Challenger Deep, it's like 22,000 miles below sea level or whatever it is.
The Mariana Trench is like so deep, and it's like we haven't even like.
No, we don't need to investigate that. Let's go investigate this stuff up here that takes us, 18 years to get to.
Yeah.
Because that makes sense.
But it's strange because you would think like it would be easier to travel through that water, but it's just the pressure of the water literally will crush you. Whereas like it's like literally the opposite in outer space. It's like where it's like it's kind of funny because like how do those things exist in the same
the constriction versus the expansion, right?
Yeah.
It trips you out. I mean, it's like, hey guys, you see all the stuff that goes on, right? And like, okay, now it's kind of confirmed that we're not alone in the universe, even though I think we all realized that we weren't. but we now know that we're not. So, I mean, at any point in time, this thing could end. So, you know what? Go ahead.
Is how do we not know that these aliens? So we've started to get an exponential amount more sightings in the last like 10 years, the last like 20 years. Essentially, we didn't have a lot of proof of alien life until after we had the nuclear bomb explode. And the more that I think about it, is I'm like, are these aliens coming to be like, hey, you guys are fucking up and you're being assholes to each other, and this is what we can do? Or are they coming to exterminate us so we don't destroy the universe in some way? And I'm like, damn, either one of those options are pretty cool, but also horribly terrifying.
Okay, so do you think that these extraterrestrials, as we'll call them, like, do you think that they look down on us and they're kind of like have their favorite human? It's kind of like a video game, and it's
We're
like,
pets, bro.
oh man, my favorite human over here, Buff Gandhi. He's messing up. I got to make sure that I keep him alive or whatever. I don't know. I mean, maybe they look at us like we're a damn video game or a TV show. It's like reality TV.
I saw an awesome meme once, and it was like, for all we know, we are a third grade science or a third grade alien science project that he got a C on. And I was like, damn, we got 4 C's.
We act like it sometimes.
I know we do. It's sad, man.
I read this article about that we are de-evolving in our technological expertise. That, as an example, the pyramids is a scientific marvel still to this day that can't be recreated. So where did this technology happen that we could build these pyramids, but yet we can't with all of our technology that we supposedly have now? Why can we not replicate that?
Dude,
go ahead.
What were you saying? No, go ahead.
It's just interesting to think about. We think we're so technologically advanced, but yet there's still things that we can't even explain that happened thousands of years ago.
There's like this eye of God thing that they talked about. It was like one of the Greeks or Spartans had it or something. And it was this magnifying glass essentially that they'd find, dude. And they essentially made it to where it was like a laser, and they would just burn cities with it. And it's like, we don't have anything like that right now. Like, how the hell did they think of that? And it was literally just by manipulation of prisms that they literally started just like burning cities. And I'm like, just through using the sun. I was like, sheesh, but there's there's stories about it, but there's no remnants of it. And it's like, how did that happen? Like, what the heck?
You know where the remnants is?
The ocean.
No, it's in the Vatican archives, man.
Oh, dude, yes. I would love to go see that shit. It's honestly, it's amazing to me to think about how many things that we lost in like the Library of Alexandria. It's pretty crazy to think about, like, because that was probably like kind of like the Vatican of the early days of life. And so it's kind of interesting. I actually was listening to a TED Talk where this lady was explaining that it is actually racist of us to believe that aliens built the pyramids because we don't believe that the Egyptians did, even though we believe that the Parthenon was built by people. But why would we not believe that the pyramids were? And I was like, that's strangely I was like, is that a good point? Like, I don't know. Like, why were we able to build the Parthenon? Like, that's a pretty incredible accomplishment in itself.
I don't know, and I don't think that. I think sometimes we have to kind of look at the past with rose-colored glasses. Sometimes,
yes,
it's just like, it is what it is. We have a very checkered past, and sometimes looking back that way is helpful, and sometimes looking back that way is not.
Yes.
Individually speaking, looking back at the past is usually not helpful. Looking and being present in the moment is very helpful. But you struck a chord with a Facebook post. We don't have to go into gritty detail about it, but I think your overall point to the post was more so from the standpoint of there's always something that we can do. We have to have self radical responsibility for ourselves, and
Mhm.
to think that something owns you, okay, which is one of the reasons why I have an issue with people defining themselves as I'm an alcoholic,
I'm depressed.
I'm depressed. Yes, you may struggle with alcohol, you may struggle with depression, but neither of those entities own you. In the moment that you agree that it does, then it does. Then everything that your narrative is now based upon this ownership of something that has over you. And by phrasing it differently, allows space in between, because what you take on takes you.
Mhm.
And I don't know. Maybe if you want to
Yeah,
explain
I don't
more.
even care to tell you exactly what I put on the post. I literally put that to think that drinking alcohol, or okay, I said it's strange to me when people quote unquote suffer because I did it myself. Like this was from my own perspective as a human who has suffered from these issues. And I was like, I it's hard for me to believe that people are suffering, like suffering in quotes, when they are contributing through the abuse of alcohol and nicotine, which we know for a scientific fact suppresses your nervous system. It is a depressant. It literally depresses you. That's what its job is. Smoking cigarettes, smoking a vape, taking a drink of beer. It doesn't matter if you're celebrating, it's going to make your body's nervous system suppress. That's just what it does. And I said, thinking that those two don't correlate would be like me also thinking that when I was overweight, that my blood pressure and cholesterol weren't high because I didn't work out and I didn't eat well and I didn't have fitness or nutrition habits. And I was like, that's literally what the post was. And the lady, like, this lady was like, oh my God, like you're stigmatizing addiction. And you're like, and then I was like, all right, let me edit this. In no way am I downplaying addiction or not addiction, but depression and anxiety. And she's like, I'm mad because you're something about substance abuse. And I was like, listen, like I've been here and I've done this myself. Literally, there's been days where I don't want to wake up because I hate myself so much because I've just made a mess of my life. And I kept telling myself, like, man, you're depressed or you're sad and shit like that. But while also telling myself this shit, I was drinking alcohol and abusing my body. And it's like, how do we not think that those are going to just make that worse? Even if you're not addicted, it's still going to make it worse. Like, it's just, that's how it works. And that I was honestly confused. I had a friend that actually reached out to me and was like, hey, man, I don't think you should be doing stuff like that for content. Like, I think that you're going to ruffle some feathers. And it's like, honestly, man, David Goggins was just who was like, dude, you got to fucking just confront that shit. There's demons that we all have, and it is literally up to us to fight them. And if you don't, it'll just get worse. That's literally how it works. That's like we talked about with physics. Like where energy goes, energy flows. So if you literally constantly are putting that, I'm depressed, I'm depressed, I'm an addict, I'm an addict. You know what? Your brain literally will wire itself to be like, I'm an addict, I'm depressed, I have anxiety, I have depression, whatever it is that you keep telling yourself. The words that we tell ourselves or what our subconscious will program our mind to function as, because that's what we talked about several or many times on this podcast is reticular activation. Your brain will literally work the way that it believes is most effective. And so when if you tell yourself, man, I'm a fucking badass, I'm gonna kick the shit out of my business plan today, or a goal, or whatever it is, then guess what? It's like it's literally proving that it's significantly higher of odds that you will do that as if you would have been like, man, I had this huge goal today. I have all these lists of things that I need to do, and now I'm going to make an excuse about why. And if you just tell yourself like, hey, I'm going to do this, and it's literally the same way with negativity. If you tell yourself, I'm depressed, you're depressed. That's what it is. If you tell yourself, I'm fucking happy as shit, your brain will literally send emotions to your brain, or your body will send chemicals to your brain to create the emotion of happiness. And that's why meditating is so important. That's why fitness is so important. That's why nutrition is so important. And the whole thing that I'm trying to get to is the fact that the things that we put in our body affect this. And it's like to think that we were just born this way and that it will always be that way and that we can't do anything about it is literally a victim's mentality that will continue to encourage people to be addicts. And that is the complete opposite of what I want to do. I know that those people need help and I want to help them. And I'm trying to help them by shedding light on literature and things that I myself have been through or have seen other people go through.
that are presenting a much more taboo like solution, but it's like that's the effective solution. Like it's taboo because the fucking pharmaceutical industry doesn't make money off of it. It's taboo because you don't go to the doctor for it. It's taboo because you stop going to therapy for it. Because you really change that inner dialogue by yourself. And I'm not saying you shouldn't go to therapy. I'm not saying you shouldn't get pharmaceutical help, but that should be like literally the last steps. Like you should be like, hey, maybe me sleeping more, or maybe me have I been eating Papa John's a lot lately? Maybe that's why I feel like shit all the time. Or maybe I've been drinking way too much fucking caffeine. Like people don't realize how big of an anxiety crisis that will provide you. If you can literally abuse caffeine to where you can have a panic attack. And to think that people are like, I'm so anxious all the time and I can't figure out why. I'm like, how many cups of coffee have you had today? 3, 4? Holy shit, 6? What? Dude, yeah, you're going to be anxious when you fucking drink 6 cups of coffee in one day. Like, that's just how the body works. You're going to be drunk if you drink 6 beers. Why would it be any different with coffee?
You get 5 stars for that. I think that, 15 years of using antidepressants, okay, and me being in a so-called state of depression, I can tell you firsthand that there were days where I just didn't want to do anything, right? And thankfully, I have a mentality to push through. And sometimes that works for me and sometimes that works against me. But at the end of the day, I made a decision that this was not helping me, that only I can solve this problem. And it isn't about, okay, well, I want to do things that make me happy. No, I need to get things out of my life and things out of the way that prevent my happiness, because happiness exists in you currently. There isn't anything that you can attain externally that's going to make you happy. That pocketbook, that car, that job, that dollar amount in the bank account is only a dopamine high that will last all of 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
True happiness exists within you. And I think that where we go wrong with depression sometimes is automatically stigmatizing it and normalizing it.
Mm-hmm.
It is common, but that doesn't mean that it should be common for us to be depressed. We're humans. We're capable of anything. And if we're capable of anything, then we're capable of getting ourselves out of a hole. The problem lies in the medium in which we use to get ourselves out of so-called hole. And sometimes those are vices, those are drugs, those are alcohol, that's sex, that's working out way too much, it's taking too much caffeine, it's this, it's that, it's always too much of something, right? We take on too much because we feel as if we lack something. But when you realize that you lack nothing and that you have everything that you truly need and happiness exists within you, when you dissolve all of these things that prevent you from that, that's when you find yourself. It's so interesting because the way you put it is like we're like trying to find ourselves, but we're running from ourselves all the time. It's like a cat chasing their tail. Do you think the cat's ever going to catch the tail? Never. So I want to find myself, but I'm going to use this, and then I'm just going to do this circle, right? I think what's important for everyone that listens to this to understand that the two of us have the utmost amount of compassion for people who struggle. Okay. I think I think our message here is more from the state of just because it's this way for you doesn't mean it has to be this way. And telling you and saying, oh, you just got to work harder. You just got to, get off your ass and you just got to do this does nothing for you. But what does do something for you is understanding that everything that you need is already within you. You need nothing else. You just need to dissolve some of the things that prevent you from tapping into the things that you truly need and want and desire in this world. So
the analogy that I really like to use in this is that we have all the ingredients to bake the cake. It's just up to us to put it together. Yeah. And it's going to take some work. It is straight up. It's going to take some work. It's not going to be maybe even easy work. No. Most times it's not going to be easy work. It's really tough. It's tough to do the work that we need to do to file out those things that we don't need for our mission. And sometimes it's a relationship, sometimes it's a workplace that's causing us to fall back in a way, or it's just even ourselves. Like we're just like, I'm unhappy with the way I look. But we as humans are literally born a lump of flesh, and we have no skills. We have nothing. We literally, if we didn't have our mom and dad, we couldn't survive, or whoever takes care of us.
Right.
Think of every other animal that's born. It literally essentially knows and does exactly what it's supposed to do its whole life from the second it's born. A horse can run and walk and eat and do everything that it needs to do. A cat can do all that. But humans don't. That's not how we are. But with that being said, how we start is not how we finish. And that is the most important part, because we are the most adaptation, we are the ultimate adaptation machine. Talking about Mariana Trench, there are remnants of humans in the fucking Mariana Trench. There are people that are sending things to outer space and are on Mars. But you're telling me you can't beat depression? That's interesting. It's not that I'm saying you can't, but it's crazy to me, because I feel like if people are able to break the law of gravity, that they're probably able to break the law of depression. The law of gravity is the most known law in the world. It literally can even be bent under a superior will. Or yeah, it's just like, if it's superior and you are determined to make it happen, you can do it.
Right. And I think the determination that it requires to make it happen is not about needing something, right? There's nothing that needs to be. What needs to be placed the emphasis on is these experiences that have created the story that you tell yourself in your head. Is the reason why you're depressed, because somebody told you that you were whatever. In my case, when my uncle said that, I was getting fat, right? And then that just snowballed its way all the way through my life to where I've had this poor body image of myself. I allowed that. That wasn't forced upon me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when you can really go back to these events that occurred, whether it was your parents didn't, care for you enough or whatever, being able to forgive yourself in those situations and then forgive other people, because at the end of the day, whether we want to admit it or not, most people are doing the best that they can.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are not capable of things that we placed expectations on. And I don't think we should be placing expectations on anything. Because when you have expectations, you have attachment.
I got my heart broke by having an expectation. So,
and by having an attachment, you're not free.
Yes.
You can't have control and you can't have freedom in the same instance. Okay. Freedom is the lack of control. Because you don't need control. You don't need control because the world exists as it is. And what happened. It couldn't happen any other way because it didn't.
Yep. And that's what's so hard, man, is when you get into relationships or you have friendships or whatever it is, when you challenge people to have conversations and talk about stuff like this, man, sometimes it gets really tough and people just are not willing to do it. And to me, I think it's pretty obvious why we have such a high rate of depression and anxiety. And it all ties back to one thing, whether it's corruption of big food, big agriculture, which most people don't know, the most corrupt industry in the world, like by far. People don't look at it that way, but it is. It's the most corrupt in the world. Then it's probably pharma, then probably big tobacco, then probably alcohol, if I had to guess, or maybe alcohol, then tobacco. But anyway, the thing is obviously these are being pushed upon us to be a way to be cool or to have fun or do something like this or to feel better. But the reality to me that's so interesting is I think we sold our whatever the opposite of depression is. We sold that for money. And it's like, why would people why do I feel so empty? Why do I not feel alive inside? Like, why do I feel so anxious? Why am I so depressed? And I've myself have really found that it's because a lot of times we're not doing the things we're meant to do. It's our genetic life goal that we have. I don't know about you, man, but literally since I've been a little kid, I've known what I'm doing now is the stuff I've wanted to do my whole life. And I think that for me, part of the main reasons why I was damaging myself so much was because I was like, dude, each day I'd wake up and be like, I hate my life. Why do I keep doing this life? I can change it today, like literally today. And then I did it, man. And I'm not depressed anymore. I'm not sad anymore. I'm not anxious anymore. And it's because I'm doing my life's work. And that's what I want to encourage people to do, is to dive into their life. Like you keep waiting for people to control where you're going to go. And there's doctors in this world, man. There's freaking the most successful people in the world that still let people tell them what to do and still let people control their narratives in life. And I'm like, you're a freaking doctor. Like, what are you doing? You are a highly intelligent person, or you are a highly successful business owner or whatever, and you're still being controlled. And it's like, dude, do your life. You're literally this is the only one we got. So like, you better make the best of it. And I wasn't, and that's why I was so sad all the time. Like, straight up, I was essentially damning myself because I wasn't doing my stuff.
I think you hit on a major thing. It's like this is societal expectations of us is complete and utter destruction of us. It's like, okay, who gets to say that I get to go to work from 9 to 5 and then get to come home? I've never had a 9 to 5 in my entire life. Okay. I've really worked 3 jobs. I worked in retail for 5 years. I was a bouncer at a bar, and I've been a trainer for 18 years of my life. Okay. Trainer, coach, consultant. So I've been in the fitness industry for 18 years. And I've never had a 9 to 5. Who said that that's what it's supposed to be? Who said that you're supposed to have a 401k? I mean, who said that you're supposed to be married by 25? Who said that you're supposed to have 2 kids, a dog, and a white picket fence? Nobody.
Sounds dope, but who said it?
Right. And if that's
it sounds
what you,
comfortable. That's the thing, is it sounds comfortable.
and if those things, if you find love in those things, right?
Do it.
Fantastic.
Yeah. You might not be depressed.
But to put on the paradigm as if we're all supposed to exist this way, no, exist how you want to exist. That's why, when people come out and their lifestyle is X, Y, and Z, fill in the blank. Awesome. Okay. I absolutely encourage you to live your life how you see fit and not to be tied to what society says that you should do. There's no should. You get one go around and that's it. So you might as well do what you want to do. And if somebody doesn't like it, fuck them.
And the things that people are shooting you into are those things that are related to money. Like, that's literally what the fuck they are. Like, there's no way around that. Like, literally, big education, another corrupt industry. Like, people, they literally will approve anybody to get like a $40,000 loan. You know how freaking like crazy that is? That's insane.
Yeah.
Some not financially prepared 18-year-old, hey, here is a $40,000 education, but you have to pay for it. And it's like, wait, what? How many kids in our country are chained to that debt till the day they die because they did something, and then they're like, actually, I don't even want to do this. Someone told me I have to do this. I did that. I freaking went to college and was like, dude, why the fuck did I go to college? Like, because I was going to go to law school. And it was because my parents were like, hey, you need to do a job that makes you comfortable, a job that makes you like be able to pay the bills, a job that, and it's not that they're being bad parents. They just think that that's what helps me to survive. Like, that's actually, in a way, them being good parents. But the thing is that it's up to us to use that parenting or use those leaderships or the mentors and then go with life. Like, there are only so many pieces of advice that someone can give you, but you have to find the lessons yourself. Like, just straight up, if you're not journaling, if you're not meditating, if you're not working out, if you're not eating right, if you're not doing the things that make you function at the highest level and allow you to take track of what you're doing and all the things that you've done, it's going to be really hard when things get tough. And when you're doing shit you don't like, it's like, well, I don't even give a shit about this. And there's so many people who just go through the motions of life, and it's so freaking sad, man. Dude, it kills me, man. It kills me when I talk to someone. I say, how are you doing? And they're like, I'm doing okay. I'm like, you're doing okay. You're doing better than anyone in like the whole history of man is doing right now. You have an advantage to be as financially free as you want to be. You have an advantage to be as educationally free as you want to be. You can be as fit as you want to be. You can eat the most healthy and nutritious foods from all around the world in America today. But you're telling me you're only okay? Dude, who told you that? I guess you did, and that's not okay. That's not what's not okay, is you telling yourself that I'm only doing okay. And we've gotten so spoiled by the technology that we have. And this is super interesting. So the development, there are starting to be more and more and more and more learning and disability issues because the human mind literally will expand and develop when the body moves. And because we give these kids these tablets and they just sit here all the time, and they're like, I'm a little robot person now. Like, look at me. And it's like they don't ever go outside, they don't ever move, they don't ever use literally locomotive skills, and that helps to develop the brain. If you use your left hand more than your right hand and you start using your right hand all the time, your brain will literally develop new patterns, and it will make you work and function more health, like at a more healthy level, because you're working different parts of your brain. It's like, oh, that's new. I need to probably grow there, or I need to expand the circuitry that's being sent, the electrodes that are being sent here for me to get these processes going. Because like it feels weird, but it's crazy. It's that's just another issue that we're going to be dealing with. Something else, we have these headphones in our heads right now. Dude, I'm going to go ahead and say, everyone in America, I'm not a financial advisor, don't take this as financial advice. We should be investing into hearing aids. How many people are going to have hearing issues? And these are all issues that we are literally contributing to ourselves and damning ourselves with. And it's just crazy when we're like, why do all these kids have ADD today? What is going on? How is this possible? It's like, you're not allowing them to properly function. Like, that's exactly what's happening. I can tell you the exact thing. It's literally being proven by science.
Let me interrupt you for a second. Okay. The fact that physical education is literally one day is bullshit. Okay. These kids need to be more physically active now than ever, because you know what? When they're physically active, their brains work better. They're more energy. They feel better about themselves. The fact that they're not is why is physical education the thing you cut? Is it because it's not, you can't get into an AP physical education? You know, we should be paying these PE teachers. We should be paying them more.
Yeah.
Okay. I said it, and if you don't like it, I don't care. Okay.
They're setting up the foundation of the health of our country. Like, that's pretty fucking important. Like, it's like,
I was lucky. I was super lucky. Henry Clay High School, I had great teachers. I had a great business class that taught me how to do a resume, that taught me how to write a check, that taught me how to interview for a job. I had PE teachers that taught me about, you know what? Here's the real deal about what, if you have sex, this is what happens. Okay. This is literally what happens. This is what could happen to you. Okay. They don't do that anymore. Right. Physical education, as far as, you know, your health and your body and how to work out. Okay. You know what? We're going to lift weights. We're going to show you how. We're going to do squats. We're going to do lunges. We're going to run. We're going to play basketball. We're going to play badminton. We're going to play volleyball. We're going to play all these sports so that you're well-rounded. I mean, come on, guys. Let's get this shit together. I mean,
it kind of is obvious who defunded that, though, isn't it?
Yeah, politicians.
But why did they get lobbied to do that? Because Big Pharma said, or Big Ag was like,
this video, if you've made it this far in the live video, and this video is no longer here because we've gone completely in professional wrestling, this is what you call a shoot. Okay. So a shoot means we're just telling the truth.
Yeah.
Okay. We're giving,
and the funny thing is, the thing that won't get flagged is the UFO that just got revealed.
Right. Because that's legit.
Our new friends from another state or country, not country or state, but another world potentially.
Hey.
Or water world, I don't know.
I can be friends with anybody.
Me too, man. I'm not even worried about that. People that are like, man, I'm kind of scared of aliens. I'm like, you're scared to like meet someone who can travel through space and time that can probably teach us the most incredible knowledge ever, and they'll probably like do it hypnotic or through like telekinesis, and you'll just be sitting there and you'll be chilling and you're gonna be like, how the fuck did that thought just get in my head? And he's like, hey man. And you're like, whoa. Like, dude, honestly, I think that's what we'll move into. I think that's super funny. I think that looking at how we send text messages and how we send tweets and stuff like that, I believe, just based off science fiction and stuff like that, I believe that that's probably how aliens communicate. If they're able to travel through space and time, they probably found a much more efficient way to have a communication system that's probably through hypnosis, or not hypnosis, but telekinetic capacity. And I know that doesn't make sense, but like, we've not even tapped like 15%.
You have thought about this.
We as humans essentially have only tapped into the potential of like 15% of our mind. Like obviously it's always functioning. There are things that we don't realize, like breathing and stuff like that. Obviously it's functions,
Right.
but there is an even higher capacity that which we could go. Maybe it's an introduction to a new technology. I don't know what it is, but we have a higher capacity. It's like been proven. And I truly believe that these aliens, if they're able to travel through space and time or live underwater or whatever they're doing, they're probably pretty good at communicating. Because they had to like teamwork made that possible. There's probably not just like one planet with like 5 aliens that are best friends and like, what's up? We killed everybody and we're traveling around the worlds. Like it just doesn't seem very likely that they're not teamwork makes the dream work kind of people.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, this has been definitely infotainer.
Let's hope it's not like an Independence Day kind of scenario where, you know, we gotta get Will Smith and whatever that other guy's name is. Gotta get him in the plane.
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum, that's right. Okay. Well, let's close this up because this has been very entertaining.
I've said the F word a lot this time. My mom's gonna be mad at me. I'm getting grounded for sure.
You know, I don't think my mom listens to anything I do anymore because she can't stand my language.
It's just a word, man. It's just a word.
My dad doesn't like it either, but I'm just like, I have to be me, and like that's me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I'm sarcastic. I'm passionate about certain things. You know, this is what it is.
The F word. Here's the best advice and the best fact I'll ever give you in the world. Fuck is the most versatile word in the English language. It just is. It can be an adjective, it can be a noun, it can be a verb. Like this is fucking stupid, or that's fucking awesome, or we're fucking, or whatever. You know, it's just like
this is how this is. We'll close up with this. Okay, sixth grade. My English teacher, Mrs. Sims. Okay, if you've had Mrs. Sims, you know that this woman is like a god when it comes to teaching. Somebody said "fuck" in our 6th grade class, and she turned her head. She's like, "Do you even know what that means?" Of course, none of us really truly knew. You know what? I mean, we have at that time. I mean, you didn't have everything where they're just right here in front of your fingertips, and the internet was no such thing. So
I just got dial up in 4th grade, and you're 10 years older than me. So
she got up there and she literally wrote it out on the board and told us exactly the etymology. I think it's the etymology, like the history of the word, and so she's, you know, this if you're going to use this word, you better know where it comes from.
That's like, awesome, though.
She would have got fired if she did that today.
Dude, but is that her being a bad teacher?
No, being a great teacher.
That's what I think. Like we contain our capacity. We literally limit ourselves so much in our potential because we are so caught up on stupid shit like that we could have a guy or a lady that could not maybe be so ethical in one teaching or maybe a lot of teachings. But did you learn a lesson from them? That's important. That's pretty damn important.
I remember that to this day. So
where's it from? Do you remember that?
We're gonna not talk about that on this one. Because we only have a little bit of time left. Well, I'll do it next time.
Okay.
I'll be more
on next episode of Buff and Shuck, you'll be finding out where the word fuck comes from. See you, Mom.
Hello, fourth wall. All right, man. You're in Spartanburg because you're there working. Okay.
Yep. Heading back today though.
Okay. All right. Well, you be safe driving. Yep. Hashtag value if you found value in this video. Hopefully it doesn't get pulled. And if it does, you know what? So what?
Like, they don't know anything about mental health. They're talking about aliens and shit like that. Like these idiots.
I thought this was a fitness guy and a podcaster. What are they doing?
Everything and nothing.
What we're doing is we're doing what we want to do. That's what we're doing. Okay. And it's fun. And if you can't laugh at yourself, you're not doing life correctly. Okay. So You may not like what we've covered, but you have to at least admire the fact that we're out here doing it, playing naked, out here with no restrictions. So
On this big floating space rock where aliens may be coming
right.
to now.
And thank you, Facebook, for allowing us to have this platform.
Hey, and if you're worried about our show, there's aliens coming, like I just said. So there's
Right.
there's way worse things you should be worried about.
Right. So, anyways, okay. All right, Facebook. We will see you next time. He's the Shuck.
And Instagram, because this has been going on Instagram lately. If you're watching this on Instagram,
Yeah,
what's up?
well, it won't let me upload the whole thing. It's only like pieces of it because it only like keeps me at like 15 minutes or something like that.
You got to go. Is even on the short stories or the short
like
videos?
the IGTV. It won't let me upload the whole thing.
That's weird because it'll let you post a live that's like an hour long. So why wouldn't it let you do this?
I don't know.
Guess they don't want you to. They were like, you're spending too much time on this one screen and not seeing enough ads. You need to be scrolling. That's exactly what it is.
Could be.
That's what it is. When it's live, they're like, you're already on this, like, and then it's going to go away. Because I've noticed that it's strange to me. When you have a live video on Instagram, none of the comments and none of the like hearts or videos or likes are posted on the actual post when it's posted. I'm like, most of these people are watching it then. That doesn't even make sense.
Right.
Trying to get this algorithm running, and y'all are shitting on me.
You have been fired up today, my friend. I love it. I love it. All right, guys. Peace and love. Woo! And bicep.
Have a great day. Live the dream.
Great.